All right, kids, I'm going to need you to help me retell the Passover story.
Okay.
As the story of Passover begins, God's people were slaves in Egypt.
Get to work, Hebrew slave! No. Then I'll tickle you!
God heard the cry of his people, and he called Moses to go to Pharaoh and demand that he set them free.
Who could be calling at this hour? That's not even a number.
Moses, it is me, the great I am, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. I am sending you to Pharaoh to bring my people, the Israelites, out of Egypt. Moses went and confronted Pharaoh on God's behalf. Pharaoh did not want to listen.
Give me some grapes. There you go.
Let my people go!
No!
Yes!
No!
Yes!
No!
Yes!
No!
Yes!
No!
Yes!
No!
Aaron, show me the business!
That's just a staff. Ah! It's a snake. I've seen better than that on Egypt's Got Talent.
And so, Pharaoh refused to let God's people go. He hardened his heart, even as God sent plague after plague. The Nile River turned to blood.
This water doesn't taste so bad.
Hail was sent upon the land, destroying crops.
Oh no, hail!
Gnats plagued the people. No! Gnats! No, I said gnats! The land was plunged into darkness for 3 days.
Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. I totally won that.
No, I won. It was actually rock.
No,
It was
it
rock.
was paper.
It was rock.
It was paper.
It's too dark to play in. It's too dark to play in.
Because Pharaoh refused to listen, God prepared to send a 10th and final plague, the most terrible plague of all, the death of the firstborn son.
Me?
Not you, Felix.
What about me?
Yes, you would have died, Max.
Would I have died?
No, you wouldn't have died.
Would Mittens have died?
No, Mittens the kitty would not have died, but Einstein, Shakespeare, George W. Bush, Uncle Ryan, and even Pop Pop would have died.
Pop?
Pop Pop would have died. And even one death is one too many. Thankfully, God provided a way for each household to be spared.
Aaron, I'm gonna need Bob the sheep.
Yes, it may seem scary to us to think about sacrificing a lamb and putting its blood on the doorpost of your house. But the alternative was even more scary.
My firstborn son! No!
The final, most terrible plague, the death of the firstborn, was the straw that broke the camel's back.
You Hebrews, get out of here!
It took a lot of work on God's part, but his people were finally free. It was such a big deal that into the future, in the time of Christ and even today, at Easter, people still gather together to remember God's faithfulness in setting them free and allowing death to pass over them on that faithful night. Now, question for you guys. How was Jesus like the Passover lamb for us today.
Oh, I know this. Woo!
All right, we'll go with Max.
Oh, okay.
And then Felix.
Wait, should I look at the camera?
You can say it.
Oh, okay. Jesus is like the Passover lamb because his blood was on the cross and he was sacrificed, even though he had done nothing wrong.
Jesus' blood was shed for the forgiveness of our sins.
Cool.